Hey guys, I'm out here today to shoot a video. This video is going to be about bushcraft and survival knives. I do believe in planning for survival. There are some instances when it should be taken into account. Although, I will say that through bushcraft, you can survive. Now, I'm gonna just jump off and go ahead and go over the definitions and what it means to me before I start to list choices. So, first off, bushcraft is to me, it's a recreation. I'm not a bushman. I do not live off the land. And to me, what a bushman does is bushcraft. Bushcraft is the practice or the study of living off the land and studying those who do live off the land. Like for me, it would be the indigenous people that lived here before me, or before civilization, basically. I love that sound. So anyways, survival, on the other hand, when I think of survival, I mostly think of like a military type survival. You're in a foreign place and you have, you have to get out, because if you don't, the consequences are death. So it's not necessarily that, and that's not always the case. I mean, sometimes people get lost and they're forced into a survival situation. Or maybe you're just living in a situation where you're really close to famine or starvation. There's so many circumstances. So to me, I mostly think of a military survival. But like I said, there are circumstances where, your boat sinks and you're on an island, or plane crashes over the Sierra Nevadas. I'm trying to get these bird sounds, they're great. I think that was an pileated woodpecker. Sorry, I'm losing my chain of thought here. There was a plane that crashed in the Andes, a bunch of soccer players, and they had nothing. And that's a true story. A wagon train that got stuck in Oregon that was snowed in. That's survival. Those are all survival situations. And they were in a foreign place. They weren't prepared for whatever season or whatever predicament they were in. And the consequences ended up being death. It's an pileated woodpecker. For a lot of those people, the consequences ended up being death. Now, the military survival, that's getting back from behind the lines. That's kind of like what Bear Grylls practices and what he shows in his TV show. It's escape and evasion. It's getting back from behind enemy lines. It's those types of things that the military practice. There are certain features of a knife that you want to be able to handle a range of situations. So when I practice bushcraft, I don't go out with one tool. I go out with a knife. I go out with a saw. I go out with an axe. So my kit has tools in it that perform each job very well. There's people that use machetes and have a one-tool option and that live with that. The military now, they're packed down with all kinds of ammunition and weight. So their tool a lot of times has a lot of weird features on it that don't seem to make sense to a woodsman. Military survival, you might want something that's going to break a cockpit window. or something that's gonna, be able to cut wire, like my Gerber LMF. It's actually insulated. The handle separates. It's not full tang. It goes from the back to the front. There's a space of rubber in the middle, so that way you don't shock yourself if you're cutting wire. Now, they do that for a specific reason. They do it because, there has been circumstances in the past where it's needed to be done. So I believe there are choices for both, but you need to determine what's best for you, not only your skill level, but also your region. There's people that live in the jungle that only have a kukri, or only have a machete. And they're building huts and fences, everything. They're doing everything with that one tool. So it just depends on where you're going to go. And I'm going to change the camera angle, and we'll talk a little more about it. And I'll show you some of the tools that I bring with me into the woods. How's that look? Is it straight? Oh, it's pretty close to being straight, huh? Just a little bit. Is that looking pretty straight? Yeah, it looks pretty close. Right? So, just tighten all these up. So, you can notice I used zip ties on this. It's not the sturdiest legs, but they work. I pounded them to the ground a little bit. Okay, let's talk about knives real quick. So, a lot of the military knives that I see are basically one tool options. They have one tool that's designed to do a number of things. It can whittle a stick. It can cut rope. It can break the glass of a cockpit. Cut wire. has a pommel on it as a hammer. There's a lot of different things that I've seen as criteria for a survival tool for military. Up until, I guess, the 90s, they were even issued a machete that was designed by Pro Tools, and it's called the Woodsman's Pal, and that was issued all the way back in World War II when they were trying to clear runways for aircraft. That also has a bunch of different uses on it. I mean, if you look at it, it's a shovel. It has a hook on it to where you can, delimb a tree fairly quickly with it. It's got a rounded corner, so you can break up the ground to use it for the shovel. It's got a 10-inch blade. There were a number of things. It could also be used as a weapon. A lot of military survival stuff, it's also a weapon, as well as a cutting tool and so many other things, glass breakers, so many other things. So I get the market to survival. That being said, this last year with the presidential elections here in the States, I've been pretty disgusted with media and advertising, and it just kind of goes to show that they could say anything to you, anything they want, even if it's make-believe, and to sell it to you. They will say anything to sell it to you. They will tell you it's the best. It's the super ultimate. I mean, and it's no different in bushcraft. No different. The Swiss, a long time ago, developed a knife that was pretty much their survival knife. I mean, if you look at the Victorinox and the Wenger, I doubt that I'm saying that correctly, but if you look at those type of tools, they have everything. You got your knife blade. You got two knife blades. Fish descaler. You got saws, scissors. This one even has a pair of pliers on it. Even has a magnifying glass. So this one, to me, is more of the wood survival. I guess if you were planning to survive something in an urban area, whatever, civil unrest, then I guess maybe you would want something more along the lines of a Leatherman Surge, because with that you can change the bits out. I mean, you can take your screwdriver tip off and you can use a hex bit. So I think that would be more versatile in that area. This, and the reason why I EDC this, and the reason why I carry this every time I'm out in the woods, is because it also has first aid on it. So not only do you have a magnifying glass for looking at cuts and wounds to make sure that they're clean, or finding a sliver in your finger, but you also have a pin to dig it out. So behind here, behind the corkscrew, there is a pin, a sewing pin. It's not a needle, it doesn't have an eye, it just has it's a pin. So you can dig out a splinter that way if you have to. It also has, where's that? A ballpoint pen. Maybe if you need to leave a note for somebody and let them know that you went somewhere else. Toothpick for getting something out of your teeth. Pair of tweezers for digging things out. So to me, as far as what I consider a bushcraft, woodscraft survival tool, this is it. It has not only first aid, but it also has a secondary backup blade. you know, for whittling notches and things like that, as well as a saw for cutting notches, or for, you know, for helping you break larger sticks. So, and the Leatherman Surge has all that stuff too, but to me it's more of a of an urban setting. So, like this, it even has a gouge on it. So I can use this to shave down and create a flat surface on a piece of wood. Or I can use this, or I can use the awl to drill a hole, a small hole. So to me, this is more of the complete tool for the woods. You can see that I made a sheath here that I also turned it into a kit, basically, because it has a ferro rod and a sharpening stone on it, as well as in the back here. Oh, I keep putting it backwards. In the back here, I can also use this as a leather strop to hone the edge. I did have stropping compound on it at one time. So this, to me, is more survival. It's everything in one, and a tool for every scenario. This can also be considered as a survival tool. So to me, this is more of a complete tool, but it's more for the bushman. So it can be survival, but survival is not necessarily the tool, it's the circumstance. So would this cover you in those circumstances of a survival situation? I believe it would. It's going to do a lot of different things for you, like deflesh a hide on a pole. You have your draw knife here for making a bow. You have your saw teeth here for cutting notches on your bow so you can string it. You have your axe head here, as well as your food processor here, and wire cutter for, you know, I mean, if you want to cut out a piece of wire to make a fish hook, or, you know, if you find some. There's fences just about everywhere, though. Use whatever you want to use, because it's the skill. Your skill set is what's going to determine whether you survive, or, you know, if you enjoy bushcrafting, then, you know, that's where you develop your skill set at. This I carry is my whittler. I typically save this. I don't always use it. I do have a saw. Sometimes I carry an axe, but not very often. I live in kind of a moderate wet climate, and my moderate wet climate doesn't get very cold, so I don't need to process a cord of wood. Typically what I burn is what I find laying around. I mean, if you just look around where I'm at, I've got sticks everywhere on the ground. These were dead. All these sticks here. So this I use to is what I usually use to cut notches and whittle down a piece of wood, fire prep, things like that. So it's kind of redundant here with these tools. I don't necessarily need to carry this because I have these, but I carry this as my redundancy. This is my backup. So I just like to have fun. That's what I come out into the woods for. I like wood crafting, little tables, shelters, fire, food, coffee. That's my type of recreation. I'm gonna go ahead and get the food started now because I'm starting to ramble. Here's another reason I carry this. Not only does it serve as backup, but it also has utility. I end up using this actually quite a bit. Alright, there's the roast beef. I know it may not look like much, but it's actually really good. Looks like dog food, but it's actually delicious. There is it's roast beef and gravy. And then to that, just add the potatoes. Okay, my water's boiling. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and pour my coffee. There we go. Maybe a little bit more water. There we go. So, there's the coffee. I'm going to have to pour this and mix it up a little bit. I used Esba tabs on the Nano today. There is meat, potatoes, coffee, gravy. Usually one package of potatoes is actually too much, and this is something that I would share with somebody if I took it. But it was just to show you, you can take a half a bag of potatoes. So let me wrap this video up real quick. Now I realize this video is a little bit long. I didn't get to articulate everything that I wanted to say. There was so much going through my mind on what I wanted to actually try to relay to everybody, and you know, sorry about that. I hope everybody's enjoying the new year. I'm gonna enjoy this meal, and there will be more videos to come. I'm sorry it's been kind of slow lately, so enjoy the outdoors, everybody. Yes, sir. That is good.